up to 165. Let's shift gears, move away from viewer queries and focus in on Cosmo Films, talk a little bit about what the company does and their future outlook. They manufacture BOPP films, and they have manufacturing units in India, Korea, as well as the US. So offering BOPP films for packaging and industrial users. Let's bring on board then Ashok Jaipuria, Chairman and Managing Director of Cosmo Films, with us on the show. Welcome to the show, Mr. Jaipuria. I want to start off by talking about what kind of growth you've witnessed in volumes and sales, given the fact that consumer sentiment has been fairly soft.
You see, the question is not in volume in growth and sales, but the question is volume is related to margins. So we have witnessed an increase in margins, and that is basically going back to the fundamentals of producing at a lower cost and selling at a higher price with customer satisfaction. Obviously, this is a prelude where we start off with a very motivated organization, and that has been the work last 3-4 years, is to have the organization motivated to reduce costs and to look at value-add products.
Are there any new value-added products that you're planning to introduce, and if so, how about the margin as well as the revenue? What would you be expecting, and if you can take us through those numbers?
Well, you see, we have introduced a few products in the last financial year, and now that the Drupa is taking place in May or in June, we are going to introduce a whole range of new products which are going to be value-add products. What we are trying to do is to de-commoditize ourselves from a commodity market so that our margins are a little more stable and we are able to grow with higher margins.
Okay. What about your manufacturing unit, which are already present in the US as well as Korean markets apart from India? Do you have any more expansion plans on the radar? And let's talk about the investment as well in the same.
You see, the expansion we have planned is more in India, because looking at the fact that the cost of production is lower in India, including the fact that this is a great place to manufacture, we are also looking at certain growths in the US and the Korean markets, because out of Korea, even though we were majorly exporting to Japan, the fact is that the currency hit, which was at about 80 yen, which has gone to 110 or 120 yen, has taken a toll on our margins. But we expect that now with stability and with growth in the Japanese market, as well as Middle East, which we are targeting out of Korea and India, we would expect it to grow. US also, we have taken certain measures which we are hopeful that with aggressive sales growth, we will turn it around in this year.
And now, given that commodity prices, including crude, have dipped significantly, how much has that enabled your margins to expand? Have you passed on the benefits to customers in the form of lower prices?
You see, this is a myth which has been going on, that the crude prices actually help us in our margins, which is not a fact, because our customers are intelligent customers and we do pass on whatever benefits we have at a lower crude price, or I hope successfully able to pass on the costs if it increases. The fact is that the crude prices have really helped us in two major ways. One is that because of lower pricing of BOPP relevant to crude, the total market expansion is higher. And secondly, what has happened is our working capital is lower, therefore our interest costs are lower.
Okay, Mr.
But other than that, the crude prices certainly don't help in improving our margins.
Fair enough, Mr. Jaipuria. We let you go on that. Thank you very much for taking time out and sharing your perspective as well as your business outlook with us on Traders 20. Well, that's the word coming in from the management of Cosmo Films. The stock still manages to hold out in the positive zone, 2% higher. Let's slip into a short break at this point of time, but on the other side, we can